I thought I was just going island hopping. But somewhere between Bali and Komodo, something shifted in me. At first, it was about beaches, sunsets, volcanoes, but as the boat cut across the Flores Sea, and the wind carried the scent of rain and salt, I realized this was more than just a trip, this was a journey into something ancient, into silence. Into stories I hadn't heard before, and one moment, just one, would stop me cold, change everything I thought I knew. And leave me breathless in the middle of nowhere. Let me take you there. That we talk about Indonesia like it's just Bali. And yes, Bali is stunning, spiritual, warm, and layered, but there's an entire archipelago beyond the Instagram reels. Over 17,000 islands, each with its own voice. I went from Bali to Komodo over 2 weeks in early April. Not as a tourist chasing luxury, but as someone trying to remember what awe feels like. That I needed something real. Something bigger than routine, and I found it in rice fields, in sacred waters, in dusty fishing towns where no one asked where I was from, only if I had eaten. This wasn't a vacation. It was a reminder of how deeply nature can move you, if you let it. Bali was my first step. And I'll be honest, I almost skipped it. Too crowded, too filtered, but that morning in Tagalalang, the world felt untouched. That I woke before the light, walked past sleeping homes and offerings left by doorsteps. The terraces were still wet from rain. The earth smelled like memory, each layer of green carved like a soft spiral down the hills, reflecting the sky like broken mirrors. A farmer named Ketut let me walk beside him. He didn't speak much English, and I didn't speak Balinese. But we didn't need to. He pointed to the stalks and said, "Hadi. Life." Then he placed a grain of wet rice in my palm. "Ibu saya tanam di sini," he added. My mother planted here. It wasn't just farming. It was history. Legacy. The terraces weren't just beautiful, they were alive. At 2 a.m., I joined a small group of locals and one other traveler. We began the hike with flashlights and soft silence. Mount Batur isn't the tallest, but there's something about it, the way it stands like it's seen everything. The path was steep, and my legs burned halfway through. A local guide named Maid kept pace beside me, when we paused to drink water. I asked him why he'd climbed Batur so many times. He smiled and said, "Every time is different. Every sunrise tells me something else." And he was right. At the top, the horizon was still dark. Then, slowly, gold light cracked over the edge, clouds hovered below us like a sea, and for a second, we were above the world. I didn't speak. No one did. We just watched the volcano breathe. I'd seen the photos. The cliffs. The turquoise water at Kalingking Beach that looks like a T-Rex. But no one warned me that Nusa Penida is raw. Wild. It doesn't care if you're ready. The roads are rough, winding through jungles and sudden cliffs. But the view, it hits you like a wave. I stood at the edge of Broken Beach. A natural rock arch dropped into the sea below. Wind whipped through my shirt. A woman beside me gasped. "It looks like something out of a dream." But dreams don't cut your hands when you fall. Later, hiking down to Diamond Beach, I slipped. Scraped my knee. Sat on a rock and almost turned back, but then I saw the light shifting on the water. Saw the waves breaking against white sand no one had touched in hours. Sometimes, beauty isn't gentle, sometimes, it asks what you're willing to endure to reach it. Leaving Bali was hard. But arriving in Labuan Bajo felt like crossing into another dimension. It's a port town, dusty, loud, alive. Fishermen call to each other from wooden boats. Kids jump into the water without a care. And the sunsets? Orange so thick it stains the sky. I met a man named Yusuf who ran a tiny warung with the best grilled fish I've ever tasted. He asked me where I was going next. I told him, Komodo. He nodded, serious. "Be careful. The dragons don't forgive mistakes." We both laughed, but there was something in his eyes. Not fear. Respect. This wasn't a theme park. It was the edge of the wild. The boat rocked for hours. I stared at the sea, wondering what I'd find. When we reached Komodo, the air felt heavier. The guides carried long sticks, not for show. They briefed us, no sudden moves. No bleeding. Stay close, and then we saw it that a Komodo dragon, massive, muscular, slow as death itself that it stared at us with ancient eyes. Tongue flicking that I froze, the guide whispered, "They don't attack often. But they remember who enters their land." We moved slowly through the brush, saw another dragon sunbathing like a retired king that it was beautiful, yes. But not safe. Not soft that it reminded me, nature doesn't belong to us that we belong to it. After the weight of Komodo, Pink Beach felt like a sigh, the sand really was pink, crushed coral mixing with pale grains, the water was so clear it looked like glass that I snorkeled alone, surrounded by coral so vivid it looked unreal, bright orange anemones. Electric blue starfish, time didn't matter, back on the shore, I lay on my back and watched the clouds shift at no noise. No emails. Just color and breath that it was here that I realized, the climax wasn't the volcano or the dragon that it was this stillness. Simplicity. A reminder that the world doesn't need to try hard to be extraordinary, that it just needs to be that it was on the return journey, somewhere in the middle of the Flores Sea. A thunderstorm rolled in. Lightning cracked in the distance. The ocean turned slate gray. Everyone went below deck, except me that I stayed up, drenched, holding the edge of the boat, and suddenly there were dolphins. Dozens, jumping alongside us, silhouetted against the lightning, free. Wild. Real, and I broke. Not from fear, but from feeling too much at once, beauty. Humility. Grief. Wonder that I realized how disconnected I'd become from awe, and in that moment, I whispered, maybe to the sea, maybe to myself, I forgot the world was this alive. I came to chase landscapes, but I left carrying something else. Indonesia didn't just show me beauty. It humbled me. That it reminded me that the earth is older than us. Wiser, and sometimes, it just wants us to listen, from the rice fields to the reefs, from volcano tops to dragon trails, every step, every scar, every smile stitched together a version of me I hadn't met yet. Sometimes the most powerful journeys don't show you a new world, they show you how to see again. Narrator. And maybe that's the gift of traveling slowly. Breathing deeply, and letting the world speak without interrupting it. That if this story moved something in you, maybe it's time to go, not to escape your life but to meet it again, somewhere between Bali and Komodo. I'll see you out there.